Why don't we use gold as money anymore?
That's a great question, as I'm sure you remember from our past classes that until 1971, the US dollar and most of the world's currency was backed by gold. Today, we'll cover the main practical reasons we had to leave the gold standard, along with what's probably the most likely reason it actually happened.
Good. I'm curious because I know hard money system has its advantages over our current soft money system.
Very good. However, gold does have some fairly major convenience-related drawbacks. It's fairly hard to transport, store, and divide into smaller units. It's not very efficient for very small or large transactions, along with over long distances. Paper money layered on top of the gold allowed for a much easier way to transact in these situations. And digitizing that paper money made this even easier. You can now get direct deposits and pretty easily send money all over the world.
So paper money was just a way to add convenience to the gold currency, but it was still backed by gold, so you could turn your paper IOU into real gold at any time.
Yes, gold was still the currency. The paper just represented an IOU from the bank for the actual gold. This limited the amount of times the gold had to move physical locations, along with increasing its divisibility.
Why didn't we keep the system if it had the advantages of gold and paper currency?
The main reason is likely incompetence. Governments issued more paper than it had gold that backed it. And this would become a big problem if too many people wanted to convert their dollars back into gold. This problem came when some European countries like France and Britain started converting their dollars back into gold. Eventually, President Nixon just canceled this ability, ending the gold standard.
Why did other countries go with this?
Well, on some reason they just weren't in a strong enough position financially to abandon the dollar and US. And then there's the reason that without the money being tethered to gold, the governments could basically just do whatever they wanted. They could easily print money when they needed it, and they could also control the currency much better in this situation.
And digital money makes this worse, right? It's more convenient, but even easier to inflate and control. What's the fix? I mean, soft money leads to enormous amounts of debt and skyrocketing inflation worldwide.
Yes, what started as a way to boost productivity and trade by eliminating some of gold's downsides became a nightmare. And government-controlled digital currency would be the same problem, but magnitudes bigger. Unfortunately, we can't really go back to gold either, as it can't transact over the internet and at the high speed and frequency needed for a global modern economy.
Well, if our current system's broken and we can't go back to gold, what's the alternative?
So Bitcoin can serve this purpose perfectly as a hard money that can't be controlled or inflated by any government, and that can transact online and at the speed we need for our global economy.
How can it do that?
Well, looks like we're out of time for class today. Next class, we will cover how Bitcoin is hard money, and make sure to do your homework by watching the video on the end screen. What is money?